Hey folks, hope you're all doing well and welcome back to the channel. So tonight we got, I think, a pretty cool topic. Um, we well, it's just Pete and I tonight, and I'll explain why in a minute, but we've both picked 5 bands or individual artists that we think are really cool, but maybe they don't have, the exposure, maybe bands you never heard of. So it's really an excuse to turn you on to some new music that you might not be aware of. So Martin sends his regrets. He's unable to attend tonight, but Pete and I decided we were going to go ahead and do the show anyway. Before I continue though, and introduce Pete, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I am getting closer and closer to 5,000 subscribers. I need roughly about 130, so please hit the subscribe button. That would be awesome, much appreciated. And yeah, so let's get on with it. So to help me in this endeavor, got Mr. Pete Pardo. How are you doing, sir?
What's going on, Hack? How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm doing all right, man. Like, it's warming up. It's getting closer to summer. Thank God. We're starting to get the summer gigs now. The Rib Fests are coming on stream. We'll be doing one in about a month, and some outdoor stuff. And yeah.
Go
Can't wait.
And stuff. Yeah, warm weather. I was just showing Hack my lovely legs. So,
yeah, I know.
Shorts are on, and yeah, New York has been hot. So,
yeah, well, I'm in Toronto, Canada, and I'm probably a month away from shorts if I'm lucky.
Get there eventually.
The way things go here, yeah. So it's.
I just want to mention, because I know you were just talking about it, to all my Sea of Tranquility followers who are watching this show, please subscribe to Guitar Hack and help him get to 5,000 sooner rather than later. Okay, so you'd be doing him a really big favor if you do that. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. So we got a few people in the chat here. Just going to say a quick hello. We got Gary Joyce. He's always in there. Nice to see you, buddy.
Yeah.
Mitch Heyman. There's Jason Budney. Welcome. Just going down there. Tyler Patterson. Nice to see you. Dark Wizard just popped in. Great. Awesome. Welcome, everybody. All right. So, as I mentioned at the top of the show, so we've picked 5 artists / bands that we think are really cool, that maybe deserve a little bit of a listen because they're, I don't know, for whatever reason, their names aren't out there. And it's always nice to, bring up some new music and suggest some new music to people that may have missed it. So yeah, so I got 5 here. Pete has 5. We're just gonna go back and forth and talk about the artist and or the band and a little spiel and maybe an album that you might want to start with. So let's go start with you, Pete. What's your first one?
So just to kind of preface the whole thing. So when we talked about doing this, I thought long and hard. In fact, we generally, what we do is all the 3 of us like to share all our picks ahead of time. And I didn't share mine for a while. It was like a couple of weeks before I said to Hack and Martin, these are the ones that I'm going to go with. Because I thought really hard about, like, do I want to just pick like 5 obscure bands from like the 70s or the 80s? And I mean, I could have done that, but I do a lot of that on the channel, on my channel as it is. And if we've got SOT folks who are watching, I've got almost 6,000 videos on SOT, right? I have talked about all of these bands on the channel at some point in time, but these are more recent. All these bands have come about in the last like decade and a half. So they're all fairly current bands, but they're 100% under the radar, just like you kind of mentioned earlier. These are bands that deserve more exposure. I like them a lot. And I think if we've got folks watching who either don't remember me talking about these five or have, who don't watch my channel and are just, longtime followers of Guitar Hack, I think you'll like these bands because they're all very guitar centered bands. And I wanted to kind of keep that as like the kind of the focus of my pick. So my first choice is a band from Sweden. And spoiler alert, it's not going to be the only band you're going to hear from Sweden tonight. The band is called Gin Lady. This is their self-titled debut from 2012. So this band formed out of the ashes of a very cool progressive rock band called Black Bonzo, who were prominent in like the, I don't know, early 2000s, early mid 2000s. They only released a handful of albums and then they broke up. So the band broke up and like half the band decided to splinter off to a new band, which is called Gin Lady. But they don't really sound anything like the Black Bonzo band. Like I said, this debut came out in 2012. They just released a new album a couple months ago. They've been fairly active over the years, but this band is more like kind of like retro 70s classic rock with little touches of psychedelia, a little bit of prog, and certainly some hard rock. A lot of swirling Hammond organ, great guitar licks and solos and riffs and things like that. Strong melodic vocals. You got songs on here like, there's like one anthem after another, like Rebirth, Get It On Saturday is another good one. Deja Vu is really good. Lend Me a Hand is really good. The finisher, Hold On, is a really, really good song. These are like can't miss like classic rock songs. And if I was to compare them to any like, because whenever I use the term retro, I kind of like to tell people kind of like who they sound like a little bit. And they don't really sound like these bands, but you can hear like little bits and pieces. Think like early 70s Sticky Fingers, Rolling Stones, on Main Street, right? A little bit of Deep Purple, a little bit of Uriah Heep, and certainly a good amount of the Black Crowes. So if you like that sort of music, so think like, Black Crowes, Stonesy, kind of groovy classic rock stuff with a healthy amount of Hammond organ and a little bit of psych and prog. That's Gin Lady. This is still my favorite album of theirs, the very, very first album, but they did was it their second or third album? They did a double album, which it's almost like they were trying to do their own Exile on Main Street. So if you like that album, you'd probably like the Gin Lady album. But they just, like I said, they just released a new one. It's really, really good. And it's a very strong catalog. But they are from Sweden. And as it says on the back, to be played at maximum volume. And I would agree. Great band, Gin Lady from Sweden. Check them out.
There you go. Yeah, it's funny. The first thing you said was guitar centric, and it's like, you know what? All of my picks are guitar centric. I guess there's a bit of
right.
There's a bit of a bias, You get all these guitars around me. That's what I zoom in on, right? So
maybe if we had Martin on, that wouldn't be the case, right?
Yeah, it'd be drum centric, maybe. Yeah. But yeah. So I did a series. I did it for about a year. I called it "Recommend an Album to Review," where I had, people recommend albums to me, and I would check them out and do a weekly review thing. I did that for a while, and I gotta admit, a couple of the bands that I have on my list are some of those bands. Because some of this, again, it would be stuff like, I never would have heard about it otherwise. So there's a couple of picks that come from that, and my first one is one of those, and it's this gentleman named Tyler Jakes, and the record is On the Bones. So this came out in 2014, and it's one of those, this is an independent guy. He's not in any big label. You can get his music through Bandcamp. If you Google his name, you can find the record there. He's from Minneapolis. He plays guitar. He writes his own music. And what I really like about this guy is his voice. Like, he's not. He's got a lot of character in his voice, and the character that he has in his voice just works beautifully with with the music that he puts together. So it's just a really nice marriage. He does have a band called the Bootleggers, and as far as I know, they're still out there. They're still doing it. He just put out a record in 2023 called Reprobate Cantata. So as far as I know, they're still out there. This is like and this is normally not stuff that I would gravitate to. Okay, this is not really in my wheelhouse, but it's kind of a mix of Southern blues with like a Tex-Mex flavor. I mean, you listen to these songs and they sound like they could be on the soundtrack. If you're familiar with the show Better Call Saul, that sort of
Oh yeah.
style of music, right? It's sort of that kind of vibe. Um, you know, I mean, the tracks themselves are not really like musically complicated. They're relatively simple songs, but his use of instruments, his arrangements, the melodies, and his vocals, they just there's like a really cool atmosphere for every song that he kind of creates. It's really nice. There's even a little bit of a Zydeco feel on some of this stuff, you know. It's just a really good listen. There's no heavy guitars on this. There's no big guitar solos. It's not about that. It's about the melodies. It's about the vibes, and they're just really, really cool and interesting. You know, I mean, as far as comparisons, this guy is sort of like if you could imagine a Tex-Mex version of Jack White.
Okay.
Okay. You know, again, it's not something I would normally gravitate to, but when I put this on, it just because I listened to it again recently, you know, every song is different. They all have their own kind of character. There is one song on there, the very last song, that's almost shoegazy, very atmospheric, very, you know, like it's complete again departure from the rest of the songs on there. It's just a really, really good listen, a really interesting listen, and it just really pulls you in. And it's I love it. It's Tyler Jakes. I'll put the cover back up. Tyler Jakes on the Bones. You know, if you're into that stuff, man, give this guy a try because he's writes some really cool music. Really dig it.
Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with that guy.
You're not?
No, I'm not familiar. No.
Yeah, check. Well, it might not be your cup of tea. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I dig it. I dig it. So there you go. Okay, what's your next one, Pete?
And Gary Joyce, yes, Eric Porter will definitely determine whether the vocals are good enough. So agreed. Inside joke there, Hack. Sorry.
It's an inside joke. Okay.
All right. So, Hack, I think you will like this pick here. This might be totally up your alley. So I'm going to go over to, no, we're going to stay in Sweden because, yeah, there's a lot of great music coming from Scandinavia these days. The band is called Horisont. The album is called Time Warrior. And this actually was on Metal Blade Records. So, you know, on a fairly major metal label. But again, who's heard of these guys, right? I've talked about them a lot on the channel. I've reviewed pretty much their entire catalog on the webzine. Great band. They've morphed a little bit in recent years. I kind of like their earlier stuff a little better, but this is their third album. Like I said, it's called Time Warrior. That's the guys in the band right there. 2013. If you love 70s hard rock and heavy rock, this will be right up your alley.
Yeah.
Think of bits of Thin Lizzy,
early
Scorpions, Grand Funk Railroad, Deep Purple, a little bit of Sabbath, a little bit of Pentagram, bits of Led Zeppelin, and really early Rush. You will love this. Got the high-pitched vocals, frantic drumming, guitar riffs and licks all over the place, and the songs are really, really memorable. Like, really memorable. It's definitely got a retro 70s vibe, but if you love like that, like kind of like 1971 to 75, like early hard and heavy rock, this is right up your alley. Songs to check out. Writing on the Wall is the opening track. It's so good, so memorable. Diamonds in Orbit is really good. Ain't No Turning Back is another one. The whole album is really, really good. Brother is a great track. And then the song Backstreet, which is fast and frantic and furious. And that song sounds a little bit like classic, like early 80s new wave of British heavy metal. Really good album. Probably my favorite from them, but all their albums are good. They get in more recent years, their more recent albums, they're going a little kind of space rocky. So they're doing like that kind of Pink Floyd, Eloy type of thing and veering away from kind of this cool, like retro hard and heavy rock from the early 70s on the early albums. But yeah, this is a no doubter, a no brainer. Time Warrior from Horisont from Sweden. Check it out.
You know, so there you go. I mean, you know, for all those folks that are like, man, there's nobody putting out that great classic rock that we grew up with. I mean, there's so many examples of it. It's not only Greta Van Fleet. Okay. There's other bands doing it. Okay. And doing it better, you know, so yeah.
For sure.
Okay, so this one here, and I'm gonna have to give a a little bit if adult warning here because this album cover, I mean, it kind of speaks to their whole sense of humor. But the album, the band is called Drunk Horse. This is another one from the recommended albums to review. But man, when I still listen to this thing, it's so cool. Yeah, the band's called Drunk Horse, and the album is called Adult Situations, and you'll see why in a second. Here's the cover.
Oh, alrighty then.
Okay, so you kind of get the vibe, right?
That's classic.
So you kind
Maybe
of
not in a good way, but it's classic.
you know, yeah, some homemade '70s porn there, but
Yeah, there you go.
but it kind of like it sort of speaks to their whole thing because these guys have like obviously a really good sense of humor. Now, this record came out in 2003, and they haven't done a lot. I think they're basically disbanded at this point, but they did put out a few records. The last release was 2016, so I don't think they're still doing anything. They're from Oakland, California. Now, what this record sounds like is imagine you had four guys, two guitars, bass, and drums, and the one guy singing, playing in a garage, but being very well recorded, right? It literally sounds like four guys in a room bashing away. The singer's just singing over top of the racket, so to speak. So there's like this punk garage vibe, okay? But the music itself is great. The playing is great. The arrangements are complex. Now, when I say complex, I'm not talking prog. There's no odd time signatures or any of that sort of thing. It's just complex in the sense that there's multiple parts to each song. And then there's points where they'll be playing the song and the riff will morph a couple of times, and then they'll just straight up jam within the song, but done in a very tasteful way. I mean, the songs aren't like 15 minutes long, and then eventually come back to it, right? So I mean, the riffs are fantastic. The drums, man, this guy on the drums, he's like it's the whole he's bashing away. It's like Keith Moon, and he's just trying to keep up with everything that's going on, and they're super busy, but so well recorded. The drum sounds, the guitar sounds, everything on this are great. As far as the riffs, like you hear like some kind of Sabbath sounding riffs, and then kind of Zeppelin, very 70s influenced, but with again these multiple parts going on. And the guy's singing over top, so there's like a punk aggression to it, but the music is complex and they're really great players. The guitar playing is phenomenal. The solos are fantastic. They kind of remind me, imagine if you took Budgie and Clutch and put them together.
Wow, that's a good.
That's what I hear, because both of those bands, multiple riffs, a lot of changes. They kind of take on a little trip, in their songs. It's sort of that kind of vibe, but with a sense of humor, as you can see from the cover, and yeah, just a garage band with a lot of chops, with some really heavy riffs and just some really interesting arrangements. That's the best way to describe it. But yeah, this is another one that, man, like it's just a really good ride listening to this record. Yeah.
It's just a shame with that cover, they're not going to sell more than 10 copies.
All right. I got to show that again. There you go.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, that's.
It's good the guy dressed up for his date, eh?
Their manager needs to be fired ASAP.
Yeah.
Or whoever approved that at the record label, if it's self-released, obviously do whatever they want.
Yeah.
That's classic.
Classic is the word for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right. What do you got?
All right. So why don't we leave Sweden for a pick, right, and come back to the United States, right? So how many folks watching love early 70s Black Sabbath? Raise your hands, please, everybody. I hope to see everybody's hands up. Good.
Sure.
Well, there you go. So I have the band for you. They're from San Francisco, I believe, from San Francisco, the San Francisco area. The band, their name is named after a short little instrumental Black Sabbath song. The band is Orchid. The
Ah,
Mouths of Madness is the name of the band. And again, Nuclear Blast Records. So these guys, they're on a fairly major metal label, but like most people have probably never heard of them. And this particular album came out in 2013. This is their second album. And they're apparently still together, but they haven't released anything in like a million years. But they're really, really good. If you just kind of miss like that early 70s Sabbath sound, they don't hide the fact that that's what they're all about, right? It's this good amount of psych. If you think like the first like 2, 3, 4 Sabbath albums, that little bit of psychedelia, the big heavy bluesy riffs, the doomy riffs, the screaming blues rock guitar solos, that kind of like higher pitched, kind of nasally vocal style like Ozzy had. I mean, they're not hiding what they're doing here, but man, some great songs on here. I mean, Marching Dogs of War could have been a leftover track from Paranoid. It's so good. Even the production on this album screams like 1970, 71, 72. You got a song like Nomad, which is vintage 70s doom. Mountain of Steel has some amazing riffs that like Tony Iommi would totally be proud of. Really, really good. Loving Hand of God, gotta love these titles too. They're very, there's Wizard of War, right? All these great titles. They're so sad.
yeah.
Like the Loving Hand of God to me, when I listen to it, is like this bastard stepchild of like Planet Caravan and Hand of Doom kind of put together, and boop, out comes a child, and that's what it sounds like. So good. Like I said, they've been inactive for like a decade, but I've been hearing a lot of rumblings that they're like trying to work on new music and whatnot and maybe play live again, which would be great. But if you love like loads of big crushing riffs and you love like molten blues rock guitar solos, doomy vibes, and that whole like early Sabbath vibe, Orchid is great. They've got a couple releases, like an EP or two as well. They're all really, really good. So totally check them out if you're into that sort of thing.
That one sounds like another one I should check out. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to pick really good ones today. So I think anybody who loves vintage sounds and whatnot, these are kind of no brainers.
Yeah. Yeah. This next one kind of surprises me a little bit. And why it surprises me is that not more people know about this band. Because this band is what happens when you put Saga guitarist Ian Crichton with Saxon drummer Nigel Glockler, with bassist, singer, and multi-instrumentalist from Alliance, Robert Berry, and you put them all together, and you get this band,
Yeah.
6x6.
Really good album. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I came across this because I was looking up, some Saga stuff, and then I started, I love Ian Crichton as a guitar player, so I started looking up some Ian Crichton stuff, and
One of
then
the
this
most
came
underrated players of all time, right? I mean, crazy good.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you get here is a melodic prog rock band that can write songs under 10 minutes, right?
Yep.
So it's not that, these sidelong epics. I mean, they're all they come in, they do the thing. They've got all the prog flavors happening in there, the time signatures and all that. And man, Ian's guitar is just lethal, right? Just big crunching riffs. And, his solos are they sound like they're off the cuff. Like he's just kind of like, but they're right on and they're intense and they're just, you could really feel his playing on there. But it's like every song has got so many things happening in a nice tight little package. It's almost like a musical buffet when you go from one song to the other, right? And the singing, like Robert Berry, really great vocalist, and he carves out these beautiful melodies on top of all of this, intricate stuff that's going on underneath them. But you know, for me though, I mean, the big attraction for this record, especially, I mean, again, being a guitar player, I'm zooming in on Ian Crichton's playing. It's just, it's off the charts. You know, most of the tracks, it's almost like you're listening to a power trio. I mean, there's just the three guys.
Yeah.
Once in a while, they'll throw some keys in to kind of fill it in, but this is not a keyboard centric band. This is a guitar, bass, and drum band. And they've got 2 records out so far. There's another one that came out called Beyond Shadowland, and I saw that I think I saw something about they're working on a 3rd record as well. But you know, just amazing players. That sort of marriage of the 3 guys, sort of, you know, a really odd marriage in a way, you know. And then I was reading about the Nigel, and apparently he was playing prog before he was in Saxon.
Yeah.
So this is not sort of foreign to him, because you'd think like, what's a Saxon drummer doing in this, you know? But yeah, it's a really good record. The sound of the record too is, the production is absolutely flawless. You hear everything. Everything has its space. Nothing is cluttered. And man, does that guitar sound good on that record. Really, really good. So yeah, 6x6, man. Check them out. Check them out. I was reading that they're going to try to do some tour dates. I don't know if they've managed to do any shows, because I mean, they're in other bands and other projects and such. But so I don't know. But man, if I got wind of them coming down here, man, I'd go check them out for sure.
Yeah, I would think they would be like perfect for like one of those like cruise festivals, and things like that they do all the time. But yeah, really good band, really good album. I never bothered to listen to their debut, because I figured, it's just another like kind of like super group put together, on Frontiers Records or Inside Out. They do all these little super group things. But then I checked out the recent one, and I reviewed it here on the channel and on the webzine, and I was blown away by how good it is. I mean, it's very tuneful. Like the songs are really, really memorable. It's kind of proggy, but it's not overly proggy. Kind of like the way I think about it, Hack, it's almost like, and again, they don't sound like them at all, but I'm just trying to kind of put it in perspective. Think of like Asia with all those great songs, but with much, much more muscular like arrangements and loads of guitar, no keyboards, maybe not as sugary sweet as some of the Asia stuff, but memorable songs that are instantly appealing. Kind of like the first time you heard the first Asia album, you're like, oh my God, every song is like a winner here. That's kind of like it is. But man, Ian just kills.
He smokes it. Yeah. But like you say, man, there's a lot of hooks. There's a lot of hooks. There's a lot of melody. There's a lot of stuff to, to sort of bring you in, right? So yeah, it's a great listen.
Robert Berry's got some pedigree, because he played with Keith Emerson and
I read that
in 3, right? So that was supposed to be the next big band, because Greg Lake was doing other stuff, and they were like, all right, we're just going to go with this configuration. But just like the Emerson, Lake and Powell, it didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really, really good album. Really good album.
Yeah, it's very cool. Check it out, folks.
Yeah. All right, Hack. I hate to do this, but we're going to go back to Sweden once again. I promise it's the last time.
Home of classic rock, Sweden.
Yeah, Sweden and Norway. That's where it's been for the last decade, man. I'll tell you. So this is a band, probably out of all the 5 that I'm talking about today, maybe the least, probably the one that most people are gonna be like, I never heard of these guys before, but they're well worth seeking out. The band is called Kamchatka. Long Road Made of Gold is the album that I'm kind of earmarking today. So it's spelled Kamchatka. All right, this is their 6th album from 2015. Another great band from Sweden, another kind of retro rock band, but a little bit different than the ones I've been talking about already. These guys more are coming from that like kind of late 60s, early 70s kind of bluesy psychedelic rock scene. One of the members of the band is a guy named Per Wiberg, or Wiberg, as us Americans would say it, right? Wiberg. If that name sounds familiar, it should. He played keyboards for Opeth for a number of years. He also played keyboards for Spiritual Beggars, which is kind of like the stoner rock band of Michael Amott from Arch Enemy. So here he's playing bass and a little bit of keys and some vocals here and there. If you like Free, Bad Company, A little bit of Zeppelin, maybe Trapeze and Cactus, so more of that kind of bluesy rock type of thing. You will love this. The guitar player, who is killer, his name is Tomas Anderson, has a very strong kind of like Paul Rogers thing going with his voice.
Cool.
So, and also I think if you like Black Country Communion, you'll really like these guys. Very similar kind of bluesy, heavy rock stuff. It's a power trio, so you get lots of riffs, great grooves. There's licks and solos from the guitarist all over the place. Drumming is really good. Vocals are really powerful and soulful. You got songs on here called like Take Me Back is great. Get Your Game On is really riffy and kind of groovy. Made of Gold could have been a Bad Company song. It literally sounds like a long lost song from like one of Bad Company's first couple albums. Really good. And then you got a song like called Mirror, which I think is supposed to be an homage to Blue Oyster Cult, because when you listen to the riff on the song, you're going to be like, all right, that sounds like an old BOC riff, right? So it's really cool. Bluesy, heavy rock, lots of grooves, got some moody stuff on here as well. But this album and this band, because all their albums are really good, I have all of them, are very, very easy to get into, very accessible, great vocals, great guitars, groovy tunes. Kamchatka from Sweden. Check them out. Again, another band. It's been a few years since this was 2015, so that's already, 10 years ago. I think they released one album after this, but it's been a number of years now, so I'm anxiously awaiting more. But yeah, great band. Can't go wrong with any of their albums, but that's probably my favorite.
Cool. So for my last two, you're stuck on Sweden. I'm going to go Canada on the last two.
Why not?
And this band has been one of my favorite bands from the time I was a kid. And unfortunately, well, I mean, they're still around, but there's like one guy, because all the other members have either left or have passed away, right? There's the one guy. But they put out, when they came out, and this is their debut record, and I'm talking about a band called Teenage Head. They're from the Hamilton, Ontario. They're high school guys. They got together and they recorded this record, and it's like it came out in 79. They were considered a punk band, but super melodic, poppy songs, with some amazing playing. The tone. Gordy Lewis, the guitar player, is one of my guitar heroes from when I was a kid. That guy with the Les Paul Special through a Marshall, man, just magic.
Gotta love that.
He's not playing anything complicated. He's playing simple stuff, but it just sounds unfucking believable. Like the stuff that this guy does. These guys were Green Day before Green Day, with better songs and a better guitar player. Okay. And I mean, their first three records, like that was their debut record. And then they put out Frantic City, unbelievable, and then Some Kind of Fun, and then they tried to break into the US market. They were actually pretty big locally, like in Ontario. They were pretty, and actually across Canada they had some notoriety, but they tried to break into the US, and they put out an EP, and the US record company said, your name is offensive, you have to change your name. So they changed their name to Teenage Heads. They put an S on the end of it, and then they put out an EP, and it was terrible. Okay, they lost all the sort of charm and sense of humor, because the lyrics, the singer Frankie Venom, who's passed away, he was. They had songs like Lucy Potato, Curtain Jumper,
that's original,
Teenage Beer Drinking Party, just stuff like this, right? I mean, Little Box, just really cool, heavy riff. The riff comes in, it's killer. They got some songs that are just 2 minutes, but not like Ramones, but with lots of stuff, lots of playing going on, great chops. The only, as far as the debut, the drums sound terrible, but the guitars sound amazing, and the songs are so catchy that it kind of makes up for it. They have better production on the second record, Frantic City, and on Some Kind of Fun, but just a really good local band. I saw them in my high school when I was like, I don't know, 16 or something. It's just a really, really cool band. But for me, it's all about Gordy Lewis, who also has passed away. And I mean, they're called a punk band, but now they got a lot of New York Dolls in them. A lot of New York Dolls. Okay. So if you consider that punk, and then there's some Stooges influence in there as well, and just really, really good songs. Gordy Lewis is like the punk version of Ace Frehley for me, because he just plays the right shit at the right time with the right tone, and it just sounds fantastic. So, I mean, they never really made it big in the States. I mean, you can listen to the records. I mean, I'm sure you could still get their albums. Probably be a little difficult to get, but listen to them on YouTube, and they're a fun party. Put that stuff on in the background, or it's just a good fun party band, and the songs are so they're so catchy and just full of energy, just bursting at the seams, Absolutely love Teenage Head. Will always love Teenage Head. Yeah.
Isn't it cool when you have these memories of like these bands you caught when you were like a kid that never really made it, and it's like, you're like, oh, I wonder whatever happened to them, and
yeah,
like, where is it possible to get their music? And there's a God, I don't even think I've ever talked about it on SOT, because I always talk about how my first real concert, of course, was Motorhead and Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz, right, with Randy Rhoads. But I actually did see like a concert at my high school, probably a year or two before that show, that I think my parents took me to. And it was this band from Colorado named Earth Opera. And I just remember them being really good. They were almost kind of, again, my memory is very fleeting of that evening, but I remember buying their album there at the show, my parents buying it for me, and I don't have it obviously anymore, but I remember them being kind of like a Styx type of band, something like that. But I've done research on them and they don't come up anywhere, so I don't know whatever happened to them. But
wow.
Yeah, one of those forgotten bands from like 1980 or whatever the hell year it was. So
Yeah.
long time ago. So anyway, all right, so I'm going to say goodbye to the States for my last pick. And no, I'm not going back to Germany. No, I'm not going back to Sweden. I'm going to Germany. This is a band I've talked about them on SOT, pretty much every release they've ever done. But again, nobody knows this band. The band is Voodoo Circle. More Than One Way Home is the album I picked for right now. So Voodoo Circle is, God, what would you call them? They're like a hard rock. I wouldn't even call them power metal, because they're really not power metal. But basically, this is the band put together by Alex Bayrat, guitar player, who was in Primal Fear, a German veteran power metal band, along with Matt Sinner on bass. Matt Sinner, also a longtime bass player in Primal Fear. Plus also David Redman on vocals, who has long been the singer from a band called Pink Cream 69, who are kind of like a hard rock, melodic rock type of band, and a couple other dudes. And they've got, this is their third album from 2013, but they've got now, I think, 7 albums. Basically, all you need to know about these guys is if you like the Whitesnake self-titled album from 1987, you are going to love this. Because this guy, Alex Bayrat, is a huge John Sykes fan. He's also a big Richie Blackmore fan. So if you kind of throw those two influences together, that's Voodoo Circle. Some of these songs sound like they could have come off that Whitesnake album. He nails the John Sykes riffing and the soloing, and then every now and then he goes in this kind of like classic Rainbow, classic Deep Purple thing, because he's got a really good keyboard player in the band as well, and they do like the Hammond organ thing, back and forth. But for the most part, songs like Graveyard City, Tears in the Rain, Cry for Love, Heart of Babylon, The Killer in You, they just sound like leftovers that never made the Whitesnake album. Just like the riffing, the soloing, he's got the tone 100% down. The songs are really, really memorable. And this is one of those bands, like I said, they've got 7 albums out. Every one of them is really good. They got a formula. They don't stray too far from it. So you either like this sort of thing or you don't. But I remember the first time I heard their first album, I was kind of like, wow, this is like completely right in my wheelhouse. It's just so memorable, really well produced stuff. And if you love that big, massive guitar tone that Sykes always had, may he rest in peace, you'll love Alex Bayrat and his playing. So yeah, Voodoo Circle, More Than One Way Home, their third album, but you can start with any of them. They're all really, really great. So that's my last pick.
All right. Okay. Well, my last pick, another Canadian band. And this was a band, actually, I think I did one when you were doing that show where I forget what you called it, where you picked a record for someone, album homework. I think
Homework
that's what.
assignment. Album homework assignment. Yep.
Yeah, this was one of the. I think I did it. This is the one of the ones that I did, anyways. But I gotta mention it again because this is a. I mean, these guys, I think, as far as I know, did only one full album, and this is back in 1980, and the band is called the Demics.
I remember you do. Yeah, that's.
Yeah. I had to bring them up again, man, because this record came out in 1980. I sent it from London, Ontario. I mean, it's a pretty sad affair because 3 of the members have passed away, including the singer Keith Whitaker. What makes this album is Keith's voice, his singing. He's got. Imagine if Lou Reed could sing. Okay. Imagine if Lou Reed.
Imagine that.
Just imagine that.
Some faraway world in the multiverse. Yeah. Lou Reed all of a sudden sounds amazing. Sorry for all Lou Reed fans. I don't mean to piss you off.
Where he's not talking his way through a vocal, right? Because it's got that sort of gritty New York kind of punk, but not punk because they're really, when I say punk, I mean, I don't know, like people interpret it in different ways. Good musicianship, really good players. Very, very hooky songs, but not poppy, just kind of cool hooky. You know what I mean? And the material it's just the marriage of his voice. His voice is like, if you listen to that band and you went to central casting to find the perfect voice to match that music, this would be the guy. His voice is so good. And it just, again, tons of character in his voice. And it just kind of brings the songs to life, right? What did I write here? Yeah, poppy, cool. The guitars, there's a bit of edge on them, but they're not really distorted. It's the guitar solos are short and sweet and to the point. It's just really, really good songwriting, really catchy songs. I mean, I remember the first time I listened to this was years and years ago, but this band has always stuck with me. And unfortunately, they only really have the one full album. I think there's some EPs and stuff. It's just these songs kind of, piecemeal sort of thing, right? But this is like the only album, and I imagine this would probably be a really hard record to get to find. But the songs sound great. The production is really good. There's no frills on this. There's no effects. There's no big production value. It's just instruments being played very well with really good songs, and a fantastic vocal performance. And I can't say enough about this. Again, if you're into that sort of thing, I mean, I don't know who I would even compare these guys to. I mean, maybe Velvet Underground, but with a guy who can sing and better musicianship. I mean, I don't know how else to say it, right? But that would basically be kind of the vibe, right? I mean, they got a song. One of their songs that actually got radio plays called New York. So there you go. And they're from London, Ontario. But
there you go.
Yeah, phenomenal.
Everybody loves New York.
Yeah, just phenomenal. So there you go. All righty. Well, folks, there's 10 records to chew on. New music, right? If you haven't heard it before, I know all my stuff. You can find it on YouTube and and Spotify. Everything's on YouTube and Spotify. All these bands that I mentioned, even the first Teenage Head record, you can hear it on Spotify.
Yeah, same here. All mine are available, and I dropped all the titles in the chat. So for those of you watching didn't see that, just go and copy and paste and do whatever you need to do. It's all there.
Oh, you know what? That's a good idea. I'll put that. I'll put that in the show notes. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll do that. All right. So, what do you got coming up on the channel, Pete?
Well, tomorrow morning, for all you early risers, and looking in the chat, I see a lot of you who will be there tomorrow morning. Martin and I are getting together once again to talk about a favorite producer of ours, and tomorrow it's Martin Birch. So we're going to pick. We in this whole series we've been doing like our 5 favorite productions from whatever the producer is that we're talking about. So Martin sent me a message today. He goes, "There's no way we can do 5. We need to do 10 for Martin Birch," and I'm like, thank you so much for reaching out. I've been thinking that for the last 2 days. I'm like, how am I going to whittle this list down to 5? It's impossible. So yeah, so our favorite 10 productions each from the late great Martin Birch. So that's coming up tomorrow. We've got, and he's in the chat here, Jamie Laszlo and the review crew are giving us another cool show on Saturday. So that's coming up on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I'll be doing 2 Ranking the Album shows. One with Grant Arthur on Brownsville Station. So the very cool 70s kind of, God, what do you call Brownsville Station? Boogie rock band? Whatever.
Yeah, Boogie.
Boogie rock band. So Brownsville Station. And then Lynn Versace and I will be ranking the albums of Zebra. So that's all coming. He's got a double shot of ranking the albums. Actually, we got a triple shot because Louis Nasser is doing a separate ranking show on his own. So we'll have 3 ranking the album shows on Sunday. So here over on SOT. So that's all coming up over the next couple days. So check it all out.
Very cool. Very cool. So next month, hopefully Martin will be able to join us. We got a killer topic for next month. I'm already excited about next month's show because that's going to be a whole discussion. I don't want to give it away, but if you like watching us 3 knuckleheads, watch it next month because it's a
spoiler alert. It's going to be very guitar oriented.
All guitar oriented. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. So if you're new to the channel, again, please, folks, hit the subscribe. Much appreciated. Help me get to 5,000 subscribers. There's links below if you want to help support the channel. That would be much appreciated. And yeah, we'll see you all next month. Pete, hang on for a second. And I'll just say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Okay. There we go. Cheers, everybody.